Hey, welcome to another video. In today's episode we'll be painting this image from scratch, and I finally went for a little bit more character work as well, so I'm really excited to show it to you guys. Also, later in the video I'll show you the black and white composition sketch that I started the whole thing with. My name is Victor, I'm a concept artist and illustrator, and I really hope you guys will enjoy this video and find it helpful. So let's start! Now, for the drawing part of things, I focused most of my attention on our character and her pet tiger. For the rest of the environment and the characters in the background, I kept it really simple, just marked the overall position of things and their poses and left it at that. Alright, so for quite some time I've been meaning to add a bit more character work to my art, and it's definitely a long journey ahead of studying dynamic posing and anatomy, but I'm really excited to work towards it and to become a bit more confident with characters in general. Now, this image, the painting process took roughly 3 hours, and it's definitely on the lengthier side because of a different approach I took this time. First of all, you guys will notice that I used mostly, for like 90% of the time, I used the round brush, and it's really cool when you limit yourself with things like this because you will try to solve your problems in a different way. One of the goals I had in mind was to achieve a little bit of a painterly, kind of slightly traditional look to the whole image. That's why even by the end of the process, or even if you look at the final result, you'll notice that a lot of my brush strokes are very visible. Now, as soon as I'm departing from the initial drawing, as soon as I'm happy with it, I continue on with the main elements, the foreground, background, and so on. I'm adjusting the values, and I'm basically mostly worried about the value metrics, right? I'm assigning color at the same time, but I'm mostly thinking about the values. For now, I'm also really being loose, so there's not a lot of precision involved yet. But I have to keep in mind that if I'm going to continue this way, the end result might be a little bit wobbly. It's going to be like a really wobbly image, so we don't want to have that. We want to combine precision with looseness to achieve like sort of a balance and to make it more interesting for the viewer. Now, before we're gonna paint in more information, let's have a look at the black and white composition sketch that I did prior, which is also a very important aspect of the whole process. So I like doing this when I'm trying to explore different ideas, or for example when I have a scenario in my head that I quickly want to put down on paper. And it's definitely easier to control your sketch when you have to worry only about the values, lighting, shapes, and maybe a little bit of form, but nothing else. And also, it will give you quite a bit of confidence if you notice that your comp sketch really works well. That means you can definitely transfer it into a final product that will also work well. By the way, a quick announcement, I've decided to start a Patreon page, so if you're looking to improve your digital painting and have access to more in-depth materials, like the full high-res images and different sketches, the PSD file with all the layers, more brushes with the complete brush pack, and most importantly, the full-length video of the painting process with mistakes and everything, and even more commentary, then head to the Patreon page. I'll upload everything by the end of the month. And also, it's a great way for you to directly support this channel by improving the quality and the frequency of the uploaded videos. Thank you again if you consider Patreon, and for now, let's move on. At this point in the process, for example, if you squint your eyes and you look at this image, or if you turn it black and white, you'll see that it's quite reminiscent of the black and white composition sketch that I showed you guys previously. So the values are almost there. Of course, this is not the final. I will still keep pushing and pulling down the darks and the lights, work on the exposure and so on, but one of the primary goals I have is to have something to show at any step in the painting process. So for example, if I have to stop right now, the painting, okay, it's done, I still can show something and it will be somehow readable, it will be understandable, there's going to be enough information about the composition, story, and whatever. And I think this is a good sort of a point to keep in mind whenever you're working on something, and I think in general it's going to provide you with more consistent good results. Alright, so I'm working a little bit around the character. I'm pretty much using the same approach I'm using with the environments. I'm working around the form, pushing and pulling the values, and I'm pretty much sticking to the round brush for now, but sometimes you'll see me using a different one just to make sure that I'm showing some difference between materials. I'm also paying attention to the edges. I'm trying to strike a balance between soft edges and hard edges. this is another way to control the contrast in your image, and in this case around the character's face. By the way, don't forget to ask any questions you have about the painting process in the comment section. There are tons of aspects I'm not managing to cover in this video, so feel free to ask any questions and I'll do my best to reply to you. So I've spent some time defining the background, and you also notice that I've adjusted the values again. I made it even brighter so that there is a definitive difference between the value of the lit background and the interior where the character is, where it's not so bright. Some composition adjustment with the plants on the right, and then back to sculpting the environment and other objects. You guys notice that sometimes I like to turn the image black and white, and that's because I keep thinking about the values and making sure that everything is readable. When you work with color and you're adding color variation and more information describing form, sometimes the changes can be so slight, and it's always, a good habit to just turn the image black and white, make sure everything works, and move on. Now I'm going to add a little bit of light hitting our character and maybe some objects in the scene, and I didn't plan for this while I was doing the black and white composition sketch, but as the painting was going, I thought this could be a great idea to add more contrast to our focal point, to the face of the character, And the way I did it is very simple. I basically collapsed all the layers. I'm already working on one layer, and I switched the brush mode, the painting brush mode, to linear dodge add or to screen. And basically you take the same color as the object you're painting on, and with just a few brush strokes you're kinda gonna get an effect as if it's lit by a very strong light source. If you want to make the light source colder, you obviously add a little bit more blue. If warmer, a bit more red, and so on. Alright, so this is the final image. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Don't forget about the Patreon link in the description, and thanks again for watching till the end. I hope to see you in the next one coming soon.